Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Sam Nasser, and this is the Azure Cleveland User Group. A little bit about our group. We meet every second week of the month. Meetings are free of charge and open to the public, and we cover a variety of topics related to Azure. You can find all the meeting information for both past meetings as well as future meetings posted on meetup.com at the link listed at the bottom of the slide. We always like to thank our sponsors, the .NET Foundation for sponsoring the Meetup website, and NIS Technologies for sponsoring the virtual meeting space as well as the recording. Some general information: if you're joining us for the first time, please keep in mind that participation is encouraged, and like I always say, the only stupid question is the one not being asked. However, when not speaking, kindly ask you to mute your microphones just to avoid any background noise. And we want to keep it casual but organized, meaning feel free to jump in with any questions or comments, but at the same time, we want to give our speaker enough time to go through all the slides and the demos. Lastly, the meeting is being recorded and will be posted on YouTube in just a few short days. For tonight's presentation, we have Introduction to AutoGen Studio by Hector Perez. Hector is a software engineer and instructor. He has over 10 years of experience in .NET, Xamarin, UI, as well as artificial intelligence. He is a 4-time Microsoft MVP, and he's an instructor also for academia.elcamino.dev. And in addition, you can find a lot of his blog entries posted at elcamino.dev. And so with that, let me turn it over to Hector. Hector, welcome to the Azure Cleveland User Group.
Hello. I'm really happy to be here with you today. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely, glad to have you.
Okay, so I'm really excited to be here today. We're presenting this interesting topic. I made a series of different tools that I present on the Reactor channel, YouTube channel. And I presented a lot of interesting tools, like for example, AutoGen Studio, N8N, and other different tools using Azure OpenAI as the main LLM to perform different tasks, to create intelligent agents, and a lot of different things. So we're going to start, yeah? Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
We're going to start with the topic. We're going to start with this introduction to AutoGen Studio, that is building multi-agent workflows with Azure OpenAI. I think that Azure OpenAI is a wonderful technology that lets you basically create a lot of things. One of the things are intelligent agents that can perform different tasks. So my name is Hector Perez. I'm a Microsoft MVP, as the presentation says. And we're going to start analyzing what is AutoGen. Because AutoGen and AutoGen Studio are different things. AutoGen is basically the main framework that was created by two questions: what will the future AI applications look like, and how can we empower all developers to create them? Basically, these were the questions that the authors of AutoGen based on to create this wonderful tool. And AutoGen is a multi-agent conversation framework that basically provides a multi-agent conversation framework as a high-level abstraction. And with this framework, LLM workflows can be conveniently built. And why is this possible? Because AutoGen offers a collection of workflows covering a wide range of applications across various domains and complexities. And basically, you have enhanced LLM inference and optimizations because AutoGen supports enhanced LLM inference APIs, which can be used to improve inference performance and reduce cost, because you can use some paid models, like, for example, Azure OpenAI or the models from OpenAI, but you can also use some local models if you want to use them, for example, Llama or other similar LLMs. And we should start by understanding what is an agent, because the agents are the main core in AutoGen. So what is an agent? Well, an agent basically is like a member of your team. For example, if you want to hire a person to perform a specific task on your team, you are going to say to that person that he is responsible for performing certain tasks. You are going to be very specific on the task that the person has to perform. So, for example, if you say to the person, okay, write me an article about Bill Gates and Microsoft. If you give this task to a person and you say to him, you have 10 minutes to perform this task, obviously the person is going to be overwhelmed. It is going to be to write the article very, very fast, and it is sure that he is going to make or he's going to make different mistakes because the amount of time is very short, and he has to write basically an article really, really fast and without taking care of details. And there are some problems when you give these tasks to the person. For example, you have flaws in the wording. You're going to have incomplete article. The person is going to have hallucinations because he can, for example, invent some dates or some words that doesn't exist or something like that. And the same happens with an agent when you use, for example, ChatGPT. When you say to ChatGPT, perform this task in only one shot, basically you don't give enough time to the model to perform the operation or to correct the mistakes or to see if there is coherence between the different paragraphs on the text. And basically that is same that is happening if you are asking this to a single or if you perform this task on a single chat on ChatGPT. But imagine that you have different persons or different agents. Let's call them agents. That basically each one of the agents has a very specific task to perform. For example, one of the agents has to retrieve the different information from the different websites. Another agent has to review the useful information. Another agent writes the overview of the article or the different outlines of the article. Another agent, for example, is specialized on creating introductions, and another was trained to write conclusions, and other was trying to, for example, write the best article possible, the best content possible to write in an article with some tone and some for example, using the same words that you use in a particular example or in a particular blog post. You can train the agents in that way such that each agent has different abilities and each agent is specialized in performing a specific task. So AutoGen basically works in that way. You have a lot of different agents that can perform different tasks. We have here different configurations for AutoGen. For example, we have here in the left in the left drawing that you can configure a conversable agent, as we see here, that have different abilities. For example, this agent can interact with the API of OpenAI. It can interact as if it was a user, if it were a user, and basically you can attach different tools to this specific agent to perform tasks on your local machine. This is a very important scenario because basically with AutoGen, because you are executing the framework on your local machine, basically you can execute code, real Python code as part of the operations or as part of the operations of your specific workflow. So you can attach different tools that we are going to see in later on. Basically, we have another agent which only has the ability to communicate with the API of OpenAI. We have another agent that can perform or can execute Python code, and it can interact with the user too. We have multi-agent conversations, that is to say that we can communicate with many agents. We can have a lot of agents. Every agent will have a specific task to perform, and we can basically interact in different ways with these agents to perform a specific task. And we have flexible conversation patterns. For example, we have the joint chat and the hierarchical chat. There are some of the patterns that exist today thanks to the implementation of the agents in AI conversations. We have here a workflow using AutoGen, and we can see that at the left we have a user proxy agent. This agent that you can see here is very important because it represents in AutoGen the user who is starting a task. So, for example, we have here the initial task, the initial operation that the user or this user proxy agent is performing, which is plot a chart of Meta and Tesla stock price, change YTD. And basically we have another agent, which is the assistant agent. You can see that this agent is configured with an LLM to write Python code. It just writes Python code. It doesn't execute the code, but it will going to write all the Python code, all the necessary Python code. So to answer to you, which is the ideal Python code that you have to execute as a user proxy agent, and then basically perform the task. So you can see that the answer of this initial prompt is execute the following code. And this code is a Python code. The user executes it, but as part of the output, when you execute a Python code, you can see that you have an output. So this output says you if it was a successful run or if it has some type of errors. So it says I have an error, package Y Finance is not installed. So we pass this information to the agent, to the assistant agent, and the assistant agent answers again, sorry, please first pip install Y Finance and then execute the code. So it is responding to us that we have to install a library so that we can perform this operation successfully. And then the user proxy agent starts installing this package that we need. And then after a successful installation, we can run the initial code, and then we have this output. But as we are writing different queries with the agent, as we are having the conversation, we can manipulate the different outputs so that the agent can modify the output. For example, the user proxy agent says, no, please plot percentage change. And the assistant agent says, got it, here is the revised code. And we basically have this new graphic with the information that we basically obtained from the assistant agent. This is a very basic workflow execution using AutoGen with only two agents, or only, two agents. One is the user proxy agent and another one is the assistant agent, but we can have a lot of agents as part of this execution. Then we have this graphic. As I said you before, basically AutoGen is a framework written in Python so that we can write Python code and execute or configure different agents in Python code. And we have here a representation of the Python code. You can see that we represent or we define the human input out mode, the code executing config, default system message, etc. And we are configuring the conversable agent in this way. And we can configure different agents in different ways. For example, if we want the human input mode, as always, we can configure an agent with this configuration. And if we want to create a group chat, we can do that with this configuration, assigning different agents as part of a group chat. And basically different ways to configure AutoGen. Here we have basically a flow that shows us how the chat flow is basically drawn in a flow chart. We can see that we have here the interactions. We start with the user proxy agent making a request. The assistant agent basically returns the code, some code, and the user proxy agent returns the execution result. The assistant agent review if there was a successful compilation. If we have some errors, basically it updates the code based on the previous execution result, and so on, until we get to the terminate state in which basically the workflow finish. But to avoid all this stuff of writing Python code, basically the team behind AutoGen created AutoGen Studio, which is the UI that you can see on the screen. And basically this framework or this tool was created to help quickly prototype multi-agent solutions. And AutoGen Studio was created, an interface developed by AutoGen that enables, define and modify agents and multi-agent workflows declaratively through a point and click. That is to say, you can basically configure all the elements on a graphical interface. You can create chat sessions with specified agents and view results. We can explicitly add skills to your agents to perform some tasks, and you can publish your sessions to a local gallery. So with the presentation finished, we are going to go to a virtual machine that I have here. This is basically the main site of AutoGen. You can see that the site is microsoft.github.io/AutoGen/point2/. And basically here you have all the information that you have to know if you want to get started with AutoGen. We have here in the docs a getting started guide, which is this one that you can see here. And you can see that we have a lot of different topics that are covered as part of this guide. We have a lot of information about the chart termination, human in the loop, code executor, etc. But we are interested in this section, which says AutoGen Studio, because here in the Getting Started section, we have all the different configuration that we can use to create or basically to install AutoGen Studio as part of our system. Here we have the installation section. We have here all the configuration, all the different commands that we have to execute to have this system as part of our system. And we also have this other site, which is autogenstudio.com/AutoGen Studio UI, which basically it's another guide that basically it is a more easy to follow guide to install AutoGen Studio as part of your system, because it uses Conda to create an environment to basically have AutoGen Studio as part of your system. Then you have to execute this command, and basically you install AutoGen Studio, and with this command you can run AutoGen Studio, which is the thing that I am doing as part of my installation. Okay, here we have the different commands that I executed, and then it gives me an URL which I can execute, and with that I have AutoGen as part of my system. And basically the user interface of this software is really useful, because it divides all the sections that you need to configure so that your different agents can work and create different or perform different tasks. We have a first section which is built, in which you are going to configure all the different things that you need to perform a workflow. And the first thing that we have to configure is the skills section. Basically, this skills section is equivalent to the tools that we can find in some tools, like for example ChatGPT, or that we can basically, a tool is some sort of tool that you can configure to perform a different task that an LLM cannot do by himself. What I'm referring to, well, for example, you can create a new skill that connects to an external service, for example, to retrieve the information from a website, or to retrieve information from a table, or to perform the image generation, or for example, generate an audio file, generate a PDF file, etc. You can do everything that you want as part of the skill section. That is because you are going to perform Python code to execute a specific task. You can see that we have here different tasks. I'm going to click on the new skill button, and this is the section in which you are going to enter your Python code. You can see that here we have Python code, demo Python code. The idea is that you test your code before filling this information, because remember, this is going to be executed as part of your local system. So you have to be sure that this code compiles, or this code basically runs without errors on your operating system, and that this particular Python code returns always some sort of information, so that the LLM can take that information and perform some task with that information. We have to fill the name of this specific skill and the description. And this is very important, because this description is going to serve to the LLM to determine which tools it has to use to perform a specific task. If you say to the LLM, okay, I need that you generate an image, okay, the agent is going to find, or it's going to look in all the different skills that it has attached, and it's going to look for all the different tools that can generate images. In this case, for example, it's going to look for this specific description that says that it can generate an image based on a user's query. I have defined different skills. For example, I have here a specific skill that generates images based on Azure OpenAI service. And as I said before, because this is running locally, basically you can use, for example, some sort of environment variables. For example, I'm using here an environment variable to not show the specific key as part of this code. And here I am basically performing the operation to create an image and return the saved file, which is the image that was generated. I placed a name here. I placed a description that basically this skill lets you to generate and save images based on a user's query. You can see that this section, secrets, basically specifies all the secrets that you have as part of your file. You can add new secrets if you want to store a different secret as part of this code or piece of code. I have another skill that basically let me generate and save images. Well, it is the same that we saw before. I have another skill that basically let me to retrieve the text content from a personal website using some Python code. I have another skill that basically let me create a new PowerPoint presentation. I have another skill that let me add a slide with bullet points to an existing PowerPoint presentation. I can generate and save images and generate and save PDFs. As I said before, you can add all the skills that you want, because I think that this is one of the most important things of the system, so that you can bring more power to the different agents that you define as part of AutoGen. Then we have the model section, in which we basically define what model we want to use as part of the chat messages that we use to interact with. For example, we have here this button that says new model, and we have different options here. For example, OpenAI. We can use the Azure OpenAI models, the Gemini models, the Claude models, the Mistral models, but we can also add some local models, like for example this one that we can see here. Basically, you have to place the model name. You have to specify an API key and the base URL for your specific model. In this case, we can see that this base URL is localhost, so this model should be running locally. We have here the description. I've added this model, which is GPT-4o Mini. I basically placed the API key, the base URL, and the API version, and the description of this specific model, so that this is the one that I'm going to use throughout this presentation. As I said before, you can use the Google Gemini's model if you want to, or the Cloud model. The next configuration section is the agents models. Excuse me. Basically, this section of the agents is the place where you are going to specify, or you're going to create all the different agents that you want to interact with. And you can see that they have a lot of different agents that I have created, but as part of the default configuration system, you can see that we have a default assistant. And basically, as part of the different parameters that you have to enter to configure an agent, you have, for example, the agent name, the agent description, the max consecutive auto reply, which basically are the number of consecutive answers that a specific agent can write as part of this workflow. We can specify if we want to human input, some sort of human input request as part of the workflow, or if we don't want to include this feature. And I think that this is one of the most important configuration sections, is the system message, because basically here you specify how the assistant have to behave when you ask something to the agent. And you can see that the default agent has a lot of different rules that are configured so that it generates the Python code that it's going to let you to execute some Python code. And we can see that this is a very complex system message. If you want to create a new agent, you have to click on new agent. You have different options here to create an agent. We have the user proxy agent, which remember is the one that represents you as the user, which is going to perform some Python code. You can create an assistant agent, which is the one that I'm going to select. And here we have to fill in all this information. Now, I know that this can be some sort of not difficult, but it can take some time to fill in all this information, because basically you have to think the name of the agent, the description, and the system message that you want to use to perform these operations. Fortunately, we can use some LLM to perform this task for us. For example, let me show you. I have here Azure OpenAI, the playground. And as part of this configuration, I can enter a system behavior, which is going to be, let me copy this and show you here. Basically, this is the prompt that we can use to basically create a set of different agents to fill this information in AutoGen. How do we do that? Well, we specify that you are an assistant that helps create AI agents by defining their roles. When someone asks you how to create AI agents to perform a task, you should generate the necessary agents who will work in an AI department to complete a specific task, with the system message being the most important property. And basically, this is a prompt that you can use to create the agents. But the important thing is that we have to set the different properties that we want to configure as part of the agents. And another interesting feature is that we can specify which are the different skills that are available as part of your configuration in AutoGen to basically attach one specific tool to one agent if the agent needs that specific tool. So with that said, I'm going to copy this file. I'm going to paste this as part of the model instructions. I'm going to apply the changes, and I'm going to test a prompt. For example, I have here one pre-created. For example, create a set of assistants to write an article for a magazine. From planning, let me close this. Let me change the, okay, here we are. Create a set of assistants to write an article for a magazine. From planning to article. The article should contain lots of interesting scientific facts that will keep the audience engaged while reading it, plus real-life stories that best exemplify the sections of the article. I think that this is a very interesting approach to create agents, because you determine how the agents have to behave when they answer a query or a question. So I'm going to start the execution of this prompt. Okay, let me click again this. Okay, let me refresh this page. I don't know what is happening right now. Okay, let me try this again. Oh, okay, here we go. I don't know what was happening, but we started the execution of this particular prompt. I think that the portal is having some issues. I don't know, but it is a bit slow. Let me try again. It's an excellent time to have these sort of problems. Okay, basically what I want to show you as part of this, actually let me change it to ChatGPT. Let's see if this works correctly. I don't know what is happening right now. Okay, here I have here this. I'm going to paste this. I'm going to paste the prompt. Oh, I think that it's having problems too. I don't know what is happening right now. I think that it's some problem with Azure. Well, we're going to return to AutoGen. Let me try this really. Okay, it is having some problems. But basically, what you get when you do when you get help with for this information filling. Let me change to the application. Okay, basically what you get is basically a set of different agents that let you perform some particular workflow. It gives you 3-4 different agents that you can use sequentially to retrieve uh, a particular task to be executed successfully. For example, here are some examples that Azure OpenAI AI gave to me. For example, to write a blog post, I have a strategic planner, a content crafter, a content editor, a content refiner, a quality guardian, and a markdown master. Because each one of these agents have a specific responsibility, and we have here the different prompts that were used to basically perform the different operations. You can see that as part of the initial agent, and basically this agent analyzes initial ideas for clarity and completeness. It creates detailed document outlines, identify key sections and requirements, and a lot of different things that are going to let this agent to perform its task. Then we have the content crafter that basically is specialized in the creation content, and it has some responsibilities, including converting outlines into full Markdown documents, implementing proper Markdown syntax, writing clear, engaging content, etc. We have the content editor, which have another different task, which are the ones that you can see here. And basically, we have a lot of different configuration agents that are going that we are going to fill in the information, because we are going to use these specific agents to perform a task. And once we create all these agents to perform a particular task, we can click on new agent, and you can see that we have here a specific another sort of agent, which is the group chat, that basically lets you manage group chat interactions. I'm going to click here, and this specific chat agent is going to let you to basically create a set of agents that are going to interact to perform a specific task. You can add a lot of different agents to this configuration agent to perform a task. And the thing with this agent is that the selection method for the speaker or the agent that is going to perform a specific task is going to be, as you specify here in this section, which it could be Atto, for example. If you select Atto, basically it will select randomly an agent, randomly, but basically it's going to select an agent that can perform a specific task. And it's going to select different agents that are going to serve to resolve a specific task. And then the agent is going to use the agents so that the task is completed. We can configure here different information. I'm going to show you one that I made before, and this one that you can see here. Basically, if we go to the agent sections, you can see that here we have market analyst, financial analyst. There are two agents in this agent configuration, which are going to interact between them to perform a specific task. We can add also the model that a specific agent is going to use. For example, for this financial analyst, you can see that it's going to use GPT-4o Mini. So the meaning of this is that you can add different LLMs as part of your AutoGen configuration, and basically select which agent is going to use a specific model or other to perform a specific task. We have also the skills section, which basically lets you to add a particular skill. If you want that this agent perform an action, for example, create an image, you can select the skill from this drop-down to add a specific skill to this agent. There are some times in which your agents are going to only output some sort of text, for example, code snippets. In this case, there is no necessary that you have a skill attached as part of the agent. We have here, well, all the configuration that I showed you earlier. And then we have the workflow section, which basically is going to serve us to create or specify a workflow that we want to perform. Here is the section where we configure basically the different tasks that we want to perform as part of the configuration that we made before. We have here a default workflow, which basically is the demo demonstration, which basically shows us the workflow name, the workflow description, and a summary method, which basically is a summary of all the information that was generated from the previous agents, so that you have some sort of summary of what happened and what was the final result. And we have here an agent's configuration, which basically lets you configure a workflow in different ways. For example, we have a very basic workflow in which basically we have an initiator and a receiver. The initiator is the user proxy. Remember, this is the representation of you writing code. And the receiver is the default assistant, which basically can perform some operations like generating images. If we want to create a new workflow, we have to click on this button that says new workflow. And you have two types of workflows. The first one is the autonomous workflow, which basically was the example that I showed you earlier, in which we have only two agents interacting. If we create this workflow, we can see that we have an agent section, which is the same section that we saw earlier, in which we have an initiator and a receiver. And basically, another workflow type that we have as part of AutoGen is the sequential agent workflow, which basically includes or lets you to include a list of agents in a given order. And basically, this workflow is going to let you to specify which agent is going to perform a task before or after another agent. We can see it if we select this Create Workflow button. If we select the agents, we can see that we can add different agents. But note that we have this icon that basically indicates that Group Chat Assistant is going to perform a particular task after Demo Group Chat Assistant have performed another task. And we can add all the different agents that we want. And with that, we assure that we have a specific workflow. We know that all the different agents are going to participate as part of this agent, and we have some sort of knowledge of what is going to the final result, because we are assigning different or a sequence of different agents to perform a particular task. So after seeing all this demonstration, I'm going to select the default workflow. And basically, we have a button here that says Test Workflow, which basically starts a chat-like window in which you can write basically messages. You can see that we wrote hello and the agent, basically, because this is a very simple task to respond to this message. Basically, it only took 0 seconds. We can see it here, 0 seconds to respond. And the default assistant responds with a terminate word. Another interesting thing that we have as part of AutoGen is that when we test a workflow, we have a tab which says Profiler, which basically lets you or basically shows us information about the execution of the workflow. We have here that we didn't execute any tool call, and that we basically use some sort of tokens. You can see the amount of tokens that we used, and basically how much it would cost as part of this execution. We can continue testing this workflow. For example, generate an image of a lion. And because this specific agent has knowledge about how to generate images, basically this is going, or basically it is requesting an image generation from the Azure OpenAI service to create an image. But you can do these similar tasks to create, for example, an audio file, a PDF file, a Word document, etc. Okay, it is taking a little bit. I don't know. Okay, here we have the image. You can see that we have the image that was generating using DAL-E3 model. It looks pretty amazing. And all that was done from this test, this particular test window. We have here another sort of different workflows. This is a little bit more complex because we are using a travel group chat. Travel group chat, we can see here, travel group chat. Okay, it is an agent which basically takes the agents in an automatic way using the auto configuration. And we have here a different set of agents that are going to be used as part of this workflow, this particular workflow. So if I return to workflows, we can see that if we test this particular workflow, we can use it to, for example, create me a travel planning for my vacations on Rome, for example. And another thing that I want to show you is that behind the curtains, if we go to the terminal in which we start executing this tool, we can see that we have basically all the interactions that are happening in this conversation. You can see that in the graphical interface, well, it finished, but basically here we have all the different messages that were used to perform this specific task. We can see that we used a speaker named Planner Assistant. We used another agent, which, well, this is the initial prompt. Okay, it is here we have user message. Okay, you can see these sort of errors, but it is going to execute all the task successfully, because remember, we have an agent that is basically fixing all the problems that are happening behind the scenes. And you can see that here we have this result. Basically, yeah, we have here the planner assistant, which is saying, okay, I can help you with your plan for your vacation in Rome. And basically, it is asking me some more information so that it can create a better plan for me. You can see that then we have basically an interaction between the agents and the user, in which basically the user have to input more information so that the agent can generate a more realistic information. Okay, I have created another workflow which is very interesting. For example, for creating PPTX, I can test this workflow. For example, create a PPTX slide with bullet points about what is .NET or well, what is Microsoft Azure. Okay, and we can see again that it is starting the generation of this particular final file. Remember that we have some skills that let you to create PPTX files, and another skills that let you to add different slides to the document. We can see that we have here, as part of the result, a PPTX file that is named Azure presentation.pptx. This is an unsupported file type for AutoGen specifically, but if we look for this particular file, Azure presentation, you can see that it was generated today. I'm going to double click this file to see what is the output of this file. Okay, and you can see that here we have this slide, which basically shows us the information of what is Microsoft Azure. That was the prompt that I asked to the workflow to perform. Okay, let me close this. I have here a lot of different workflows that I have created in the demonstrations. And basically here we have, for example, an article writer workflow that basically lets you to write an article about some topic. For example, I want an article about, for example, Azure user groups and its importance. Okay, because this is a more complex workflow that involves a set of different agents, a lot of agents, it can basically take a bit long of time. In the meantime, let me check if Azure, it didn't answer anything. I want to show you this. Okay, did you remember the demo that we did earlier? Basically, here we have an answer that basically defines all the different agents that are going to serve you to create the different agents in AutoGen. You have here the name of the agent. We have here the name of the agent, the description, the system message that you are going to use, even the temperature and the maximum tokens. You can get all this information from some LLM that you use to generate this information. Another agent is the research specialist that basically has all this information. The story curator has all this information, the article writer, the editor. You can see that it generates a lot of different agents that you can use then on AutoGen to basically perform a specific task. If we return to AutoGen, we can see that we have a successfully response. You can see that we used 20 messages or that 20 messages were generated in this conversation. What does this mean? Well, if we go to the profiler, you can see all the different agents that were used as part of this conversation. You can see basically if some agent has an error, we can see that we have one agent that has a failure, and you can see even the LLM cost. I don't know why it is not showing me it, but basically this is all the information that you have. And if we go to the different or throughout the different responses that different agents wrote, we can see that, for example, the strategic planner gives us all this information, the document outline. Let me mute my computer. We have here the initial outline. Then we have the key sections and requirement. Then we have that we use the user proxy. And basically, we have here the document that was passed then to the content editor. The content editor made some adjustments. It made a summary. Then we see that the content editor to the user proxy answered with some feedback on the article, and so on. So at the end, we have an article that looks pretty good. We have here the conclusion. We have the different sections of the article with a table of contents, etc. So this is a very, very useful way to create articles if you basically want to do that. We have another workflow. So for example, the financial workflow and so on. You can create all the workflows that you want. And another thing that I want to show you is that the team, okay, let me switch to another window. I discovered recently that the team behind AutoGen released a paper that you can see here that basically it was written on August 2024. And this is a new interface that the team behind AutoGen is planning to basically the third version of the version 3.0 of the tool of AutoGen Studio. You can see that we have a completely different user interface from that we have on AutoGen 2.0, because we have basically a drag and drop interface in which you can add different tools to your different agents. We have here the agent B, the agent A, and basically here the image shows that a user is dragging the web search tool so that this agent has the ability to browse on the internet. So it looks pretty amazing. We have another image that shows what is the final proposal of the graphical user interface of the tool. That is the one that you can see here. You can see that it is a very cool interface. It is a fresh view of the interface. This is the final design that the team want to achieve. And if you want to try the different iterations of AutoGen Studio, because right now it's on its version 0.4, you can go to this particular link that I'm going to paste as part of the chat. And basically here you have a preview of the AutoGen Studio. That is this image that you can see here. If you want to try it, you can using these particular commands I have installed as part of a different virtual machines. So to show you this demonstration too. Okay, here we have it. Let me start the tool. Okay, let me quickly go to the main page of the tool. Okay, let me copy this command to run the app and paste this command. So this is a tool that is in its early steps. I'm going to update the interface, and this is the user interface that the team have in this exactly moment. Remember, this is a preview of the tool, so it doesn't have all the different sections that we have on the version 2. We only have the playground section in which you can basically start a new session and you can start a new team. A team is basically a set of different agents that are going to interact between them to perform a particular task. If we click on new team, you can see that right now we have this configuration section in which we can specify the information for the different interactions between the different agents. We can see a section of the participants. We have a section for the tools that are going to serve to the agents to perform different tasks. And we have the team type and other information. Right now, if you want to use this particular tool, you have to add as part of the model client configuration the API key. Let me check if I can remember the configuration. This was deleted. I don't know why. I don't know why. But basically, let me I don't remember if it is. I forgot it. Let me check really quickly this. Okay. Let me search for AutoGen 2.0 client. Okay, it is the API key. So you have to specify, if you want to try this, you have to specify the API key and basically enter here your API key. I have prepared an OpenAI API key. So I'm going to paste it. I'm going to click on create. And this is basically going to create a team. You can see here it with the configuration that we specified when we click on new team. We can edit this file so that we can basically add more participants, remove participants, add new tools. Here we have the name of this workflow or this particular team. It is some sort of a crew in Crew AI. You have used that tool. And with that information, we can select the team. We can basically, the idea is that we have different teams as part of this dropdown, and that we can select a team and start a new session. And the session name is like the chat name, for example. I'm going to name it as test. And the team is going to be, again, weather team. I'm going to create this. And this creates us a chat. We can see here. We're going to use this default prompt that we have here. I'm going to start a conversation. And it is basically starting the process of generating the answer from the particular prompt that we added as part of this chat window. you can see that it is processing. I hope that we don't have any issues here. Okay, let's give it a few more seconds. I don't know if right now the services are having some sort of problems or some sort of issues. I received a pair of emails telling me that OpenAI was having some issues. But basically, as part of this new interface, we can see that at the right, we have this draggable window, which basically specify all the different steps that are happening or that were used or, throughout this particular execution or this particular workflow. I think that it's having some issues. Okay, we can enter full screen to see all the interactions between the different agents that form part of this team. We can download this particular, or we can switch to horizontal layout. We can hide labels. We have another different task here. For example, show grid, show tokens, reset view. For example, for show tokens, here we should obtain the different tokens that were used. Right now, as I said to you before, I think that the system is having some issues. Remember that it is a preview software, a preview version, so you have to take it carefully. But basically, it is the new interface that you can use as part of AutoGen Studio in its new version. Okay, returning to the previous virtual machine. There was one last step that I want to show you, and that is, or one section that is the playground, that is equivalent that we saw before. And basically, in this playground, you can save the different interactions with the workflow that you are testing. For example, we can here click on this green button that says new. You can define here which is the agent workflow that you want to try. For example, the article writer, the session name, and after you click on create, you can enter some information here. For example, create an article about Bill Gates. And basically, all this information that is generated as part of the playground is going to be saved as part of the playground. If you remember, when we tried this workflow in the build section, basically when you try a workflow as part of this build section, you are going to try only that workflow, but the information is not going to be saved. So to assure that you save the information or the workflow execution, you have to try it on the playground, and basically this information is going to be saved as part of the workflow. And basically that is all the information about the AutoGen Studio. You can perform other actions, like for example changing the theme. You can switch between the different themes, and basically that are all the different parts of sections that you can use as part of AutoGen. Okay, I don't know what do you think, Sam?
So I thought it was very good. It was very interesting, and I can certainly relate to the mishaps that happened. And I've seen that before. Personally, experienced it with the Azure AI Studio, or a former Azure AI Studio, which is now the Azure Foundry. I mean, essentially, it's a site, and yeah, things are not always 100%, and expect it when you least expect it. So I can certainly relate to that. I just had one question for you. So I noticed when you were creating the agent, that you went into the chat playground in the Azure Foundry. What is the relation between the two? I missed that connection.
When you have to fill in all the information, let me change the virtual machine. Okay, here. When you have to basically fill all the information of the agents, you have to specify the agent name. Let me change this. You have to specify the agent name, the agent description. You have to enter the tokens, the number of tokens, the temperature, a lot of information that, you know, if you want to have a workflow as quickly as possible, you want this information is filled as quickly as possible. So to write a very complete or a very complete functionality for the agent, you can use Azure OpenAI or ChatGPT or another LLM, for example, Gemini or Llama, for example, to basically use the prompt that I showed you. Let me show you. That basically is going to give all the information for the agents. You can then use that information to basically fix little problems you can see as part of the definition or the description of the agent. And basically, you're going to fill all this information with the information that the LLM gives to you. This is for example, the prompt that we entered as part of our Foundry. And basically here you have all the information, all the related information that you have to fill in. For example, the agent name. You can take the name from this particular property. We have the agent description, which is the one that you have to enter as part of the description. And basically it's going to let you to be quicker when you create the different agents. And it gives you an idea of how many agents you need to perform a specific task, because it gives you ideas of the different tasks or different roles that your agents can take to perform a specific action. So this is the use case for an LLM to help you to fill in the information for the different agents.
I see. Okay. Very good. Interesting. Does anyone have any questions for Hector? And feel free to either jump in verbally or through chat. Go ahead, Dimitri.
In terms of practical use, so I noticed that you're running it on a local host. So let's say I created my workflows, I create my agents. How can I expose, to people who I work with, like in terms of company usage?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And in fact, as part of AutoGen, you can see that basically we can export anything from AutoGen. For example, from the skill sections, we have here three buttons at the bottom that says download. You can download this specific skill. And if we go to this green button with the three dots, we can see that we can upload a skill that you previously downloaded. The same for the models. You can basically export the information for the model. Here you can download the information. You can upload this specific model that you want to use in another computer. For the agents, the same. You can download all the information for the agents, and you can upload an agent that you created previously on another PC. And finally, for the workflows, this is an interesting use case, because here we have an additional button that says export, which basically lets you basically download this particular workflow and integrate as part of your Python code. If you have, or you want to use this as part of your Python code, you can use this particular workflow, integrate it as part of your different configuration files, and basically you can deploy using these commands that you can see here. And this is going to let you to basically interact with this particular workflow in another way. But you can also download the workflow and basically upload this workflow to AutoGen, to this instance of AutoGen, to use all this information. So it is very easy to do, and I think that this is very useful and an interesting question.
Nice.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anyone else with questions or comments? Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Hector. Highly appreciate it, and wanted to ask if I can take back the screen to share some concluding slides. All right, so you'll notice in the chat window that there's a few links that I have pasted. First, the one for YouTube, where the meeting will be posted. If you would please subscribe to that to get upload notifications. In addition, tech events, as well as various tech articles regarding AI and machine learning, are going to be posted on my blog, samnasser.blogspot.com. And if you would please subscribe to that to get updates as well. Last but not least, if you would please take a moment to fill out the eval form so we can provide Hector with some constructive criticism, and the link for that is listed in the chat window. If you're in the market for an IT job, I invite you to check out devitjobs.com. It's a website where you can search on geography, technologies that you'd like to work in, either remote or in person, and it covers the entire nation. So feel free to check out devitjobs.com. Last, my contact information, snasser@nistechnologies.com, if you have any questions that I can answer for you. You can also find all my social links on Linktree. And if we're not connected on LinkedIn, I invite you to do so. And so with that, thank you all for attending, and thank you for Hector for joining us from southern Mexico and presenting and showing us what AutoGen is all about. And so with that, thank you everyone, and have a great night.